happy Memorial Day weekend. I'm Brandon from USF1. Today was a very busy day in the racing world, at least open wheel racing. Obviously the Monaco Grand Prix. But before I even talk about that, Fernando Alonso obviously was in the Indy 500 today in Indianapolis, Indiana. Very, very, historical race overall, which is always great to see Formula One guys going into the Indy race. But the last couple of years, very recently Monaco and the Indy 500 have been ran at the same weekend, so a lot of F1 guys have not been able to go over and show off their skills. But Alonso decided, obviously to go over there, and unfortunately, I just felt so heartbroken for him that he came 20 laps short of his goal. I think he was what, P6 or P4, basically all race long. And then obviously Honda, being a Honda engine, failed. But unfortunately, though, his engine failed. A couple of Honda engines failed, but ultimately the Honda engine ended up winning. Tatsuma Saito ended up taking the win over Helio Castroneves. Castroneves was actually in the race the entire way. I actually had to say I love his helmet. His helmet's great. Obviously, it's not just because of the gold and white, but it also matches his car. And it was a great race all around. Pablo Montoya, I think, came around P11. I'm not too sure. All I did was watch the race. I didn't actually do a whole lot of research on it. But yeah, guys, I felt so heartbroken for Fernando Alonso and coming P20. But he ended up having a very great showing. He impressed a lot of people. He actually even led the race for a while. And then even the other guy that I was rooting for, Alexander Rossi, he won it last year as a rookie. I actually think that he should have at least another shot at F1 because he didn't have a very good drive before when he was there. But it was great to see an American there in F1. Not necessarily in Haas, but, at least on a team. He does bring sponsorships. He brings some sort of money, but maybe not enough money for Formula One. But it would be great to see Alexander Rossi have a better shot in F1. But he ended up not finishing as well. He was Fernando Alonso's teammate. They were using each other to pull each other forward for the lead, but he ended up having fuel problems and he couldn't refuel his car, so he ended up having to retire. But yeah, guys, that's enough about Indy 500. Leave a like for it if you if you feel bad for Fernando Alonso. If you guys watched it, leave a comment. Who was your driver of the day for the Indy 500? As you guys already know, Fernando Alonso is my #1 choice for that. And then #2, I would have to say Sato because, he drove a spectacular race. And I think he's even lactose intolerant and he drank the milk anyway. That's how much of a sportsman, that's how much class that he has to follow traditions, at least for, a race tradition, which is always drink the milk at the end of Indy 500. But yeah, Monaco Grand Prix, Kimi Räikkönen takes his first pole for in a race since 2008 at the French Grand Prix. That was also the last time Lewis Hamilton qualified. I think he qualified P13 there in 2008 with McLaren, but he ended up, he qualified P14 for this race, but that ultimately didn't really matter because Sebastian Vettel, congratulations, took the win. Let's talk about the DNFs. As you guys already know, we had a lot of DNFs in Monaco. That usually always happens. Nico Hulkenberg had a gearbox problem, and he ended up coming P20. Verline and Button got into it. If you guys already see here, Button tried to make an overtake in a spot where there really is no overtake opportunity. Wehrlein was already in the corner. Button just sort of snuck up in there, and Wehrlein ran over his rear tire, and he ended up sideways up against a wall, and Button's front wheel suspension basically snapped, and both of their races were over. Ericsson, he had a crazy incident. He ran into the wall in turn 1 under safety car. That was sort of weird to see. And then obviously Van Dorn with his McLaren ended up, I forget what Van Dorn actually happened. Actually, I think he just had a overall problem with his car. But it's unfortunate that none of the McLarens, even finished the race. None of the Saubers finished the race, which is quite unfortunate for both of them. As you guys already know, Lance Stroll came P15. He was struggling all through in practice and qualifying. He even he hit the wall, I think twice, once for sure, but I don't know if he hit the second time. But he was quite far down the line. I think he was down 7 laps along with Daniel Kvyat. I'm surprised he didn't actually retire his car after he was hit by Sergio Perez. Kvyat came P14, and then Perez came P13, ending his run of 15 straight races in the points for Force India, which is quite impressive. But Perez was sort of just ran into the back of Kvyat and, spun himself out and destroyed Kvyat's race too. And those guys, like Kvyat, just has no luck, man. Like I know that he needs a good race and everyone judges him quite harshly, but he just hasn't had a very good string of luck. But I guess I don't know if it's necessarily his fault that happened. I don't think it was his fault that it happened this time, but luck does not. If Daniel didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. So yeah, and then Esteban Ocon coming in solid P12 with Palmer rounding out the non-points finish for Renault in P11. But yeah, now let's go on to the top 10 guys. For Vettel and Raikkonen lockout P1 and 2. Raikkonen ended up pitting early. Well, he was losing time to Vettel, but he wasn't losing all that much time to Vettel. But Raikkonen ended up pitting. I think Vettel stayed out for another 2-3 laps before he even pitted, and basically just Raikkonen came back out with behind traffic and behind lap traffic on top of that, and just sort of destroyed his race. And Vettel ended up having an easy win for the checkered flag. So a lot of people speculating that it was team strategy, that that you have Vettel win no matter what. Was gonna be in the lead by the end of the race because of Ferrari's orders. But a lot of people like normal racing sense says you always pitch your first like the leading car first out of each team under normal track conditions. But they already know, teams already know that with that Monaco is almost impossible to overtake, especially with these wider tires, wider cars in general. You would think that almost the strategy would be flipped upside down, like the trailing teammate would be pitted first instead of the leading one, because you're coming out behind traffic. But overall, a team is supposed to try to get both cars in the points overall, not necessarily because it's constructors championship is more important than the drivers championship to a team's perspective. But yeah, because a lot of people got screwed over by that. Verstappen ended up hitting first, and he ended up behind Daniel Ricciardo, which Daniel Ricciardo came P3. He was only 0.6 off of Raikkonen, so it wasn't it ended up being he was pulling some time in the end, but I think the Raikkonen was sort of cooling off near the end of the race. With Bottas coming in P4, ended up achieving a lot more than Hamilton, who came P7. But you had to give Hamilton some credit. He had 7, not necessarily on track overtakes, but he gained 7 positions starting P14. Bottas obviously had the better weekend over in general, having performed in qualifying, putting that car at least in the top 5. And, at least giving him a chance at some decent points, and he did, coming P4. And Max Verstappen coming P5 for Red Bull. 2 cars within the top 5 for Red Bull is a very solid showing for them. I'm sure they would rather have more pace. But, Verstappen actually finishing the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time in his entire career. I'm sure he was quite satisfied coming P5. I'm sure you'd always want more. You always want more, but you always want, at least he finished, and I'm sure he wanted, like I said, he wanted more. I'm going to keep reiterating myself, but he just moved to Monaco, and I'm sure he wanted to show off for his friends that, you can at least finish, but finish higher than P5. But P5 is nothing to frown about. I'm sure Red Bull wanted him better, but, I would be quite satisfied with P5. Carlos Sainz matched his highest, qualifying this time in his career, came P6. He ended up, 12 seconds behind, the leader of the mid-pack teams. Toro Rosso having a pretty solid showing with their number 1 driver, with Carlos Sainz. Where do you guys think he's going to end up next year? Do you think he's going to stay with Toro Rosso and the Red Bull overall driver program, or is he going to go somewhere else? Leave a comment below what you guys think. As you guys already know, Lewis Hamilton came P7. And then as my Haas guys, you can see, I was, I'm trying not to show too much bias here, but Grosjean coming P8 and Madison P10. First time in Haas's short Formula 1 career that they finish in double points in 2 years. Even if it is P8 and P10, it is definitely an improvement over the last few races. We normally only have one car finishing, if not both cars not finishing. So 2 cars finishing and in the points. Oh, can't get any better. Can only improve on this, and hopefully we have more solid showings throughout. Which was like we ended up splitting. Massa ended up splitting us from coming P8 and P9. He had a decent showing. Like you would have thought that the Williams cars would be more competitive on this, at least in any track really, because Williams actually aren't like a slouch of a team, but they just did not have the pace. I don't know if they need more upgrades or they're behind the upgrade game, but yeah, I was at least expecting a better showing for Williams, but this seems like a down year for them in general. I wonder if Stroll has anything to do with that, but that's just some speculation, guys. But yeah, guys, please list your driver of the day down in the comments below. I'm gonna have to say my driver of the day. Ooh, tricky one. I would have to say would be Daniel Ricciardo coming P3. I understand that Vettel and Räikkönen had the faster laps, but I'm gonna have to say Daniel Ricciardo. Bringing that car to P3 when he definitely was a little bit slower. Red Bulls weren't exactly as fast, but I guess like overall, I'm just basing it on Daniel Ricciardo's merit, finishing the race and putting Red Bull at least in a contentious spot to be on the podium, which he did and achieved. So he had a very solid weekend. I'm sure you'd rather have a race win, try to get some redemption from last year. But yeah, Daniel Ricciardo, I'm going to have to say, is my driver of the day. Please list your driver of the day down below. As the guys already, I keep reiterating myself. But yeah, guys, leave a like on this video. That is my Monaco Grand Prix reaction, roundup, whatever you guys want to say. But thanks for watching. Subscribe below if you are new. Drop a like on this video. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, guys, I'm Brandon from USF1. Till my next video, guys. Peace.